Question 121.
Question 121.
Let the answer be given.
A statement A to B, a statement is laid on the table of the House.
Supplementaries, please.
Sir, the Honorable Minister is aware that this is a very ambitious program that the government has embarked upon, but he is very well aware that it cannot achieve the targets without active cooperation of the state governments. So what is your blueprint for involving the state governments in this program? Because we have seen many times some incidents occur where medicines, vaccinations that are used are beyond the expiry date. Incidents occur, it creates a lot of problems, casualties, and it's a setback for this kind of a program. And how do you associate people? Because we have seen that many times when these doctors and other people associated with these programs, they go to the field, they go to the slums, they go to the villages, it is very difficult to persuade the people to join in this. So what is the government thinking about? And also we have seen, I have heard, there are reports that you are going to now shift to injectable polio vaccine. Is that true? Would not oral vaccine be more effective?
So, as the member has said, I fully agree that we have to involve the state governments. The government is certainly trying to do that in this Indradhanush program. I have personally spoken to the chief ministers, the health minister, and we are associating with the health secretaries. We are also trying to involve the members of the parliament. Personally, I want in the next week that we will have a meeting with the member parliament where we are going to give a very elaborate details of the program and how they can be associated. This needs public awareness, and as we know that more than 4 lakh plus habitations are there which are vulnerable, which are left outs, which have to be taken care. We have mapped out, we are discussing this with the state governments, and of course in coming times we will be more deeply involved with the state governments and see to it that this program becomes a success. And the programming has been done in such a way that the concentration is on the left outs, the vulnerable area. The ANMs are going to take care of the regular immunization, that is RI, the routine immunization which is going to take place. But in the selected time, that is from the April 7th to 13th of April, and the same way next month also, May 7th to 13th May, June 7th to 13th June, July 7th to 13th July. It will be an exhaustive program where they are going to go to the left out areas and taking care of for the immunization. As far as the IPV is concerned, we are going to start it with from October, that is the injectable one. We are going to start in October 2015. It's a shift which has been recommended by the international agencies also, and we are taking care of it. I think so that that will be also a successful program.
Second
the
question.
Infrastructure, do we have the infrastructure to preserve these injectable vaccines, the syringes, the medicines? Do we have that kind of infrastructure? Because these 201 districts, special focus districts, are mostly in such far out places where you really don't have the basics. So how do you think that this will be a success? And also added to this, how many districts are covered in Haryana out of these 201 special focus districts?
First of all, I would like to tell the honorable member that we have taken care of all these details. That is why I said that vulnerable areas, as we know, that there are approximately 4,21,811 vulnerable focus areas where we are going to work. This is the vulnerable areas where we are going to go. And for that, the logistics have been taken care of. We are going for a very detailed program, and in that detailed program, we are taking care that the medicine, the vaccine should reach that place, number one. Number two, the A&M should be also there on that particular day. A very detailed exercise has been taken care of. Also, there are some logistic problems which we are taking care, and that is why we have focused on timing. April 7th to 13th of April. Then May 7th to 13th of May, where we have also given them the declared routes which they have to take care, where they are going to go, how they are going to go. Previously, the information should be there so that they can get the children there and vaccinate or give the OPV what is needed for them. As far as Haryana is concerned, we have Faridabad, Mewat, Panipat, Gurgaon and Palwal. These are the districts which are in 201 focus districts.
Shri Avinash Rai Khanna.
सर वैक्सीनेशन को करने के लिए एनजीओज़ का एक बहुत बड़ा रोल रहता है, तो एनजीओ को और इनकरेज करने के लिए सरकार कौन कौन से कदम उठा रही है ताकि हम इस सबको जीरो लेवल तक ले आएं?
जब भी हम इस प्रकार के कार्यक्रम लेते हैं तो उसमें जो हेल्थ से एसोसिएटेड एनजीओज़ हैं उनको हम ऑन बोर्ड लेते हैं, और उनके साथ हमारे जो स्थानीय स्तर पर, चाहे वो ब्लॉक लेवल पे हो, चाहे वो ज़िला लेवल पे हो, चाहे वो स्टेट लेवल पे हो, उनके साथ लगातार सतत संपर्क में हैं। इसलिए इसके भी लॉजिस्टिक्स के वर्किंग में भी, और इतना ही नहीं, हमारी जो अपने डेवलपमेंट पार्टनर्स हैं उनके साथ भी हम इसमें संपर्क में रहते हैं, और उनके अलग से यूनिसेफ के और WHO के अपने अलग से ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के वर्कर्स हैं जो इस फील्ड में काम करते हैं, उनके साथ मिलकर के हम प्लानिंग करते हैं और उस प्लानिंग को हम आगे बढ़ाते हैं। इसलिए जो एनजीओज़ का जुड़ने का सवाल है उसको हम लोगों ने पहले ही साथ में जोड़ा हुआ है।
श्रीमती वंदना चौहान।
You are rampant everywhere in the country, and children are the most vulnerable to this disease. Is the government trying to make sure that the vaccines are available? Because at least in Maharashtra, I don't know about the other states, but in Maharashtra the vaccines are not available. Will the government take interest?
We are talking of child immunization.
Yes, sir, that is true, but swine flu is now one such disease which is really going rampant all over the country. So that probably needs to be now added in future in the IUT program.
Chairman sir, I gave this answer, a detailed answer on swine flu, although it does not pertain to this question. But as the experts committee has recommended that we should not go for vaccination at this point of time. So we are not suggesting vaccination. I have given a very detailed answer here in this very house, what preventive measures have to be taken for the swine flu, and a lot of advertisements have been also there regarding this.
Shrimati Renuka Chaudhary.
Sir, through you I want to ask, there is a national concern about infant and maternal mortality that takes place. So I'm a little surprised that you're looking at giving the tetanus toxoid vaccine, which is critical in keeping maternal health, is only to 201 districts. I also wish to know if in the 201 districts, have you given any priority to the tribal districts where tuberculosis and Haemophilus influenza type B is rampant in these tribal areas, and on what basis did you choose these special focus districts?
First of all, I would like to assure that when we are talking about this Indradhanush program, that does not mean that the routine immunization will not take place. The routine immunization is going to take place, and approximately in the 6 lakh villages, this routine immunization is going to continue. Now,
That in all over the country for pregnant women?
yes, certainly. 2.7 crore to the newborn children and 3 crore to the pregnant women are to be given this vaccine. That is the pentavalent B and Japanese encephalitis. This is what is going, and immunizations and to the pregnant woman. Yes.
Thank you.
Tetanus we give to the children only, and that is a routine immunization program which we do.
Thank you. Question 122. No follow-up questions, please. No, if it is not a correct answer, you know the procedure of taking it up. Thank you. No, please. It's only a supplementary question. If it is not right, you know the procedure.
Sir, the reply is laid on the table of the House.
Thank you.
My question number 122. माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, आपके माध्यम से मैं माननीय मंत्री जी से पूछना चाहता हूं, मुझे जो जवाब में फिगर्स दिए गए उनसे अनुसार 13% ऑफ द बजट सुरक्षा के लिए प्रावधान रखा गया है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, आज जो स्थिति हमारे पड़ोसी राज्य पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश, चीन, श्रीलंका से जुड़ी बॉर्डर से घुसपैठ और गोलाबारी की वारदात होती रहती है, उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए क्या हमारा देश का रक्षा बजट सरकार बढ़ाना चाहती है, और अगर चाहती है तो कितने % कुल बजट का महत्तम प्रावधान रखना चाहती है?
Speaker sir, 2015-16, the estimated defense expenditure as compared to the central government expenditure is 13.88, which is increase over the last year and year before. As far as the neighboring countries are concerned, I think we should take into consideration that Indian defense budget, what is being shown as the defense budget, is not the way it is calculated internationally. And CIPRI, that is Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, indicates different parameters. The budget of border security force also has to be considered, pension has to be considered, there are different parameters. If you compare that, the 2000 budget, various government expenditure was China 8.3 of the government expenditure, US 10, Russia 11.2, these are estimate of course, UK 5.2, Pakistan 16.2, and India is estimated at 13.88. So we are within the better of the norms as far as percentage of government expenditure is in.
Second question.
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, हमारे पड़ोसी देशों को द्वारा खासकर पाकिस्तान और चीन द्वारा उनका रक्षा बजट में बढ़ावा करके घातक हथियार खरीदे जाते हैं, उसके सामने हमारी सरकार द्वारा हमारी देश की सुरक्षा को ध्यान में रखते हुए क्या-क्या कदम उठाए गए?
Speaker sir, एक तो मैंने I have already replied on the quantum. Quantum wise, we are very reasonably well placed, and as far as amount is concerned for improving, the capital acquisition has received a substantial support from the finance department. It's 94,588 crores is meant for capital outlay, where new equipment and latest technology is made available to the defense establishment, which is way above, about 14,000 crores as compared to the current year's estimate.
Thank you. Shri Ashwani Kumar.
Honorable Minister has laid a statement on the table of the House, I must say is completely unsatisfactory, and so is the reply. The question, the central question here is, how do we spend in relation to our neighbors as far as the security of the state is concerned? You have talked of percentages and said that on a comparative basis, you are doing well with reference to China and US. But you have not stated that the size of their economies in percentage terms is 13 times our size. And therefore, there is no doubt whatsoever that our expenditure and allocations on defense are way below what they should be, particularly when everybody has demonstrated, sir, that China spends 4 times our budget today. Therefore, the question for the Honorable Minister is, instead of getting into pro-ratization of the expenditure, is it or is it not a fact that you ought to spend more, you can spend more, and that our naval preparedness, our submarine preparedness, our tanker divisions are suffering for want of either adequate funds
Please
or
look at
spending
the
in time?
question.
That's the first question, sir.
No. There's no first and second.
This is- sir,
Please look at the question.
Yes, I've looked at the question. The question is
We are
percentage.
not talking about what somebody else is doing.
Sir, the questions are never asked in a vacuum. This question has relevance with respect to the preparedness of the country. I am asking the minister, the allocations or expenditure on defense are not comparable to what they should be, because you yourself have stated in your reply, giving the example of China and US. That's
Then
the
the
question.
original question should have been phrased differently.
Sir,
I'm afraid
sir,
a
please see this.
supplementary
Sir,
cannot
sir,
go
I'm
beyond
reading
the
the same
scope.
question. What is proposed to be spent? I'm saying as a supplementary, what is proposed to be spent and what has been allocated, is it adequate for the defense of the country?
Sir, in principle, nothing is adequate for defense of the country. But I think ultimately everything depends on how you spend the money. It is not mere amount which is important. I just compared the percentages of expenditure to the government of other countries just to show that India is not lagging in spending for defense. But I think every rupee spent, if it is spent wisely, it can give much more impact. And I intend to do the exercise of spending the money wisely. So I think without corruption itself, there will be drop of 20-25%.
No, please.
The wisdom of the spending is correlated to the allocations.
Ashwani
And therefore,
Kumarji,
it
please.
is not the wisdom of the expenditure that is being in question today.
Shri H.K. Dua.
I would like to know from the minister through you, how much money has been provided under one rank, one pension scheme? Mr. Parikar's predecessor, and he is very much here, Mr. Arun Jaitley had promised that they had accepted the scheme, which was also accepted by the earlier government, but no money has been provided in the budget. As when exactly the orders are going to be issued, that scheme which has been accepted should be implemented.
Though the issue does not pertain to this, I will like to bring to the notice of the honorable member that OROP has been accepted and very clearly indicated in the last budget. About finances, this question relates to defense expenditure and not pension.
Shri Parida.
India is the biggest buyer of defense materials in the world, perhaps. Now Saudi Arabia is perhaps taking our position. So I want to know how much monetary provisions are made in the budget for the defense expenditure. And this expenditure, whether it is meant for buying defense equipments or defense arms, or to make ourselves self-sufficient in defense production.
Speaker sir, I would like to point out that probably honorable member wanted to indicate that India is the biggest defense importer. We are not the biggest buyers of the defense equipment. US budget is about 650 billion. We are only about 50 billion if you take the CIPRI. You are trying to point out we are the biggest importer, buyer from outside the country. I think Make in India is an long drawn exercise. It cannot happen that overnight we shift the percentage, but we are concentrating on making things in India. There are various policy guidelines which are being discussed at this moment, and we hope that in next 2-3 months all these policy guidelines will be put on the framework. Meantime, certain issues have been already tackled, including 49% FDI, so that the foreign technology can come to India and make it in India. We have delisted many of the defense licensing items from the list. It is now almost 60% items which were listed earlier as a defense license have been delisted from the items, and we are promoting Make in India almost in every acquisition approvals which are being granted. Almost about 80 to 85% of acquisition which has been granted since this new government came in has been for mostly Make in India or buy and Make in India. So promotion of rather the shifting of stress on getting the defense item from India is increasing day by day, but the impact will be seen over a period of time. You can't expect it to shift in 1 year or 6 months. It will happen over a period of 2 to 5 years.
Question 123.
Yeah.
Supplementaries, please.
So the reply clearly shows that how the government is so careless about dealing with black money. I never expect such a reply from the Honorable Arun Jaitley ji. He says that in the reply, therefore there is no separate data for these are maintained. That how much money we have got from as tax and penalties. We have got a special investigation team under the Supreme Court direction, and SIT Vice Chairman Justice Arjit Pasayat has told last month an interview with Times of India that we have already got 3,500 rupees, and by March 30th we will be getting 6,500 more also. That altogether 10,000 crores as penalty and tax arrears. And this shows that you are not maintaining, that finance ministry is not maintaining a separate account. They are in dark. And the SIT is saying that they have got the accounts, the numbers. And
what's the
10,
question?
And whether there is any coordination between the finance ministry and SIT in the matter of the black money. Because you are not serious, in bringing about the black money. This is my question, and you have to reply.
Mr. Chairman, sir, let me at the very outset assure the honourable member that we are more serious about this issue than any government in the past, and I'll explain the fact that the reply should be understood in the correct perspective. Now, there are details are with regard to the question is with regard to the monies lying in the Swiss bank accounts which have been brought to the notice of the central government. Now, the SIT has been appointed by the Supreme Court. The Department of Revenue actively coordinates with the SIT, and therefore officers of the Department of Revenue, the Revenue Secretary, the advisor from the Department of Revenue, the CBDT chairperson, the CBEC chairperson, all assist the SIT in coming to that conclusion. Now, when assessments are made with regard to the names of those people whose names were in the HSBC list, assessments are made with regard to their incomes. Now, those incomes may include their incomes of assets and businesses within the country, as also the incomes with relation to the accounts or the assets which were kept outside the country. It is one single composite assessments that are made. The details with regard to each income which is assessed on separately outside the country is not separately maintained and tabulated because it's a common assessment order. It is in this context that the reply should be understood. Now, as far as the department is concerned, and when the SIT, his Honorable Vice Chairman made the order, made the observation, 628 cases, names in that list came. The first task was to identify who these 628 people are, because in a large number of cases only the name was mentioned and no other details were mentioned. Now, a large number of them were identified. After they were identified, the details of the accounts, we are making an effort to get all the informations. And by the 31st of March, the assessments with regard to those peoples are to be completed. Now, we have in this process found out that the total income which is evaded is to the extent of about 3,250, for which there is a tax impact, and that assessment is being completed. In more than 200 of those cases, assessments have been completed, demands have been placed on them, penalties have been imposed on them. In some cases, the recoveries have been made. Additionally, in about 77 of those cases, criminal prosecutions have already been filed in courts. Now, the details of each one of them are with us, but normally individual assessments are not disclosed except to the court concerned where the prosecutions are filed, and therefore that procedure, in accordance with all our international obligations and treaties, because we have to get information from outside the country also, while complying with them, all efforts are being made. And let me assure the honourable member that nobody who's a part of that HSBC list, against whom the evidence is now forthcoming, is going to be spared in this exercise.
Thank you. Second question.
Has made some recommendations to deal effectively with black money. One is that the tax evasion has a prosecutable offence. And what is the reaction of the ministry? And misvoicing of important export business, to deal with it, an independent independent unit, separate unit must be formed. And what is the reaction of the finance ministry?
I'm grateful to the honourable member. The SIT has been making monthly recommendations which are sent by the SIT to the Supreme Court. The SIT has made a recommendation to the Government of India also with regard to tightening of our law, both with regard to generation of black money domestically as also with regard to keeping black money outside this country. Those recommendations have come, and if the honourable member would have followed, I'm sure he has, in the budget this year, I have already outlined some of the measures which we are taking in this regard. A very large number of those measures are also on the recommendations of the SIT. The government has proposed to introduce in this very session of Parliament a separate law with regard to black money generation, particularly with regard to monies being kept outside the country. Now, there is a proposal to make certain deterrent punishments with regard to those people who are involved in that process. The amount of penalties are intended to be increased. There is also a proposal, and these are all a part of the budget speech itself, that we will make keeping a foreign asset without permission illegally as a predicate offence for the purposes of money laundering, and those stiff measures which we have announced in the budget document itself are based substantially on the recommendations of the SIT itself.
Shri Digvijay Singh.
Thank you, sir. The issue of black money stashed abroad has been one of the most hotly debated issues in the last election. There have been wild assessments made by different agencies about the quantum of money stashed abroad, ranging from 40,000 crores to 70,000 crores to 4 lakh crores to 40 lakh crores, which of course prompted the Prime Ministerial candidate of the BJP to promise 15 lakh rupees to every citizen once the black money comes back in 100 days. Sir, I just want to know from the Honourable Minister whether the Government of India has made any assessment of the quantum of black money stashed abroad.
Sir, there are various assessments which are made, but in the absence of any particular authenticity with regard to those assessments, since statements made in this House are sacrosanct, I am not going to commit myself to only a speculative figure, but I can only tell the honourable member, since he is deeply concerned with this issue of people keeping black money outside this country and action being taken against them, as I have indicated, with regard to each of the names, the 628 names which came in the HSBC list, the names which have come in the Liechtenstein list. There is an additional list which a international consortium of journalists has brought out, which names are mostly overlapping with the HSBC list. Plus, there are other stray names with regard to whom information is coming to the government. In each of those cases, whatever is the maximum action in terms of prosecution, in terms of assessment, and in terms of recovering the monies through tax levies as also penalties, that action is entirely being taken.
Shri Subhendu Shekhar Roy.
I would like to know from the Honorable Finance Minister is, in view of the huge black money allegedly stashed outside India, whether the government is contemplating any legislation to impose a ban in opening bank accounts outside the country by Indian citizens, excepting those who are employed outside.
Sir, as I have said, the legislative jurisdiction of Indian Parliament has its own territorial limitations. So our laws apply within our country and with effect to our citizens. Now, accounts can be opened outside the country either by non-resident persons or persons who are employed outside, or even by resident Indians with the prior permission of the Reserve Bank of India. Now, in this today's world of international trade, when Indian companies are going outside and acquiring assets abroad, you will find Indian tax assessees, including companies, having accounts outside with the legitimate permission of the Reserve Bank of India. A ban obviously cannot be imposed on them because that's the way international trade functions. But there is an implicit ban on holding an account outside India without the prior permission of the Reserve Bank of India, because that itself is a criminal offence. Now, that offended laws like FERA or FEMA now, but in the proposed legislation that we are making it more stringent, and holding that asset outside India is also intended to be made a predicate offence for the purposes of the money laundering law.
Shri Kiranmoy Nanda.
I ask one question to the Minister. In which basis the Prime Minister was announced the 15 lakhs rupees will be deposited to each account, everybody's account, in which basis?
Sir, there are, as I indicated, various versions of the quantum of monies, and it's an illustrative statement which indicates that if any of those versions are accepted which indicate a higher amount of black money lying outside, then pro rata, that is the benefit which accrues to the citizens of India. It's a statement which has been made by several people in that context, and it must be taken entirely in that context.
Question 124.
Question 124, sir.
A statement is laid on the table of the House.
Sir, with your kind permission, the statement which given by the Honorable Minister is absolutely satisfactory and true to the facts. But I must raise the question that, with your kind permission, I will take just half minute.
Yeah.
Few years ago, Chairman of the Singapore Airlines Corporation mentioned that one day I want to convert Singapore Airlines into Air India. And over a period of time, Air India has been completely in the mess. I was under presumption that over a period of time, some of the routes of Air India which were profitable were diverted to private airlines. Now the statement is given here by the Honorable Minister that during last 3 years, no route fare transfer. I want to know through you, what are the total liabilities of the Air India today? Total liabilities of Air India, of course including Indian Airlines, and whether they have been increasing over a period of time.
The question is about routes, not liabilities.
You need to be answered, yes.
Reach that information out to him. The liabilities information is available. I'll reach it out to the member.
50,000 crores.
Fair enough. Second question.
No. Sir, the question is that it was presumed that some of the transfer of the profitable routes was one of the reasons for the growing liabilities of the Air India. Now, if it is not true, then whether Air India's liabilities are increasing or not, that answer can be given at least. Because this question was asked with reference to the impact on the profitability of Air India.
But that intent is not clear in the question.
No. No, I don't understand whether suppose for example, sir, I am very sorry to take your time, whether the transfer of some of the profitable routes of Air India to the private airlines will be having some adverse impact of the profitability of Air India or not. Now during 3 years there were no. I want to know what is the total liabilities and over a period of time they are increasing. If this is not one of the reasons.
I submitted that I will reach out the liabilities. They are increasing. I'll reach it out to him, sir. First of all, no airline transfers a air route to any other airlines.
Thank you, Shri Premchand Gupta.
इंडिया के बारे में कोई सवाल होता है तो सरकार बड़ी इवेसिव हो जाती है और विशेष तौर पर हमारे जो प्रेजेंट में मंत्री महोदय हैं या तो ये जानते नहीं या ये इवेसिव हैं। आप ये बताइए कि अगर एयर इंडिया ने रूट नहीं सरेंडर किए हैं तो क्या सरकार ने एयर इंडिया के रूट किसी दूसरी एयरलाइंस को दिए हैं? जो एयर इंडिया के प्रॉफिटेबल रूट्स थे विदेशों के, वो दूसरी एयरलाइंस को कैसे दिए गए?
Thank you.
Sir, first of all, no airline transfers its route to another airline. Depending on the agreements, bilaterals, the airlines apply, they take it. That's it.
इसके तहत ये रूट सरेंडर किए हैं तो एयर इंडिया के जो प्रॉफिटेबल रूट्स हैं वो किस खुशी में आपने सरेंडर किए हैं? ये माननीय पूरा हाउस इस चीज को जानना चाहता है अगर आपने क्यों सरेंडर किए हैं। क्या एयर इंडिया वहां ऑपरेट नहीं कर पा रही है? एयर इंडिया के इतने जहाज ग्राउंडेड हैं सर, दे आर नॉट इन सर्विस। आई मीन ब्रांड न्यू एयरक्राफ्ट आर लाइंग आइडल विदाउट यूज। आपका 777 का पूरा फ्लीट खड़ा हुआ है ग्राउंड के ऊपर में और यूज नहीं हो रहा है, तो इसके बारे में आप क्या बोलना चाहते हैं?
ठीक है,
एयर इंडिया की जो स्थिति है वो तो सब लोग जानते हैं।
थैंक यू।
What am I to answer, sir? Sir, if I'm supposed to confine to a question, sir, if I'm supposed to confine to a question, I'll confine to it. If I'm supposed to make a speech on Air India's performance, I'm willing to make that speech, sir. I'll go as directed.
Fair enough. Fair. No. This is not a debate. This is not a debate. Mr. Rajiv Shukla. Yes.
What is that? Is this not a?
धन्यवाद सभापति जी।
गुप्ता जी बैठ जाइए।
धन्यवाद सभापति जी। मंत्री जी का जवाब जो मैंने पढ़ा, मुझे तो था कि आंध्र प्रदेश के कोई राजा महाराजा है मंत्री जी। जवाब भी बिल्कुल वैसे ही। सर मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ एयर इंडिया, चलो चलो, आई एम सॉरी
प्लीज डोंट,
सॉरी, आई एम सॉरी, आई अपोलोजाइज टू द मिनिस्टर। ओके, अरे बोल तो दिया, बैठो ना।
नहीं, आप सवाल पूछिए।
आई अपोलोजाइज।
प्लीज रिमेंबर सर, प्लीज रिमेंबर,
जैसे कि गुप्ता जी ने कहा, स्टैंडिंग कमेटी, कंसल्टेटिव कमेटी, सब में सारी रिपोर्ट्स आ चुकी है। जितने गल्फ के रूट्स हैं, जितने गोल्डन रूट्स हैं, मोस्ट ऑफ द गोल्डन रूट्स टुवर्ड्स गल्फ, अदर एयरलाइंस आर ऑपरेटिंग, most of the seats have been given to other airlines, and he is saying no route has been given. Even on domestic circuits, Air India has withdrawn the profitable routes, and domestic airlines, the private airlines, they are plowing on these routes. This is the report by Air India itself. Now he is saying that nothing has been done. It's quite surprising and amazing.
May I just 1 minute, please? Just 1 minute. May I submit for the consideration of the honorable members that answers to question presumably are framed on the wording of the question. If just a minute, just a minute, please. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. If a question is framed in a particular manner, the answer is given accordingly. If the question were to be framed differently, presumably different answer would be given. And the last point, that supplementary questions only flow out of the main question and the answer given. The scope of supplementary questions cannot be expanded into a wider discussion.
No, but then that case, sir, in that case, can we move the privilege motion for misleading the House by the Minister? Can we move the privilege motion for misleading the House by the Minister?
Discussion. बैठ जाइए, please. Please sit down. Please do not. Please. राजीव जी, आप अपना सवाल पूछ चुके हैं.
Sir, can I make my submission?
If 1 minute, please. 1 minute. I think this is happening much too frequently. Members are making the remark that an answer is misleading the House. Members know very well how to proceed if a wrong or misleading answer is given. So please follow your procedures. They are your procedures made by the House, rather than take the time of other questioners. Thank you.
Sir, can I make my submission, sir? Can I make a submission,
Yes,
sir?
please.
Sir, I was born in the year 1951 with full citizens' rights available to any Indian citizen, sir.
So, what is that to do with it?
Sir, he called me some names, sir,
No,
so I just wanted to clarify.
that's off the mark.
I wanted to
That is not there. That is not there. No, please.
I was a subject of none, sir.
Thank you. I think the Honourable Leader of the Opposition has clarified the question. Please.
Sir,
Please.
I have not tried to mislead this august House, sir.
एक मिनट ठहर जाइए. एक मिनट, please. 1 minute, please.
Sir, I have not tried to mislead this august House, sir. Sir, I have been up to the point, sir. No airline ever transfers its routes to another airline.
All right. Mr. Tarun Vijay.
मंत्री महोदय से पूछना चाहता हूं कि दिल्ली दुबई और भारत दुबई के बीच में कितने रूट्स हैं जो एतिहाद और बाकी एयरलाइंस चला रही हैं और कितने हैं जो एयर इंडिया चला रही है? क्या यह सत्य है कि पिछले वर्ष कुछ ये शिकायतें आई थी कि दिल्ली और दुबई के बीच में जो अधिकांश उड़ानें हैं, जो फ्लाइट्स हैं, वो एतिहाद और वहां की एयरलाइंस को दी गई है? एयर इंडिया अधिक मांग होते हुए भी उस रूट पे नहीं जा रही है, इंक्लूडिंग जब यांगोन और गया के बीच में कितनी रूट्स हैं और वहां से मांग थी कि केवल एयर इंडिया यांगोन से भारत की ओर फ्लाइट चलाए, वहां भी एयर इंडिया की फ्लाइट नहीं है, विशेष रूप से दुबई वाले बताइए.
General way, Air India connects 24 countries, sir, in a general way. Now, one thing Air India has not used its allotted bilaterals, that I am aware of, sir. I will collect that information and reach it out to the member.
Thank you. Question 125.
sir.
Question 125. Question 125.
No, a supplement.
All right, let the answer be given.
Thankful to Minister for including Telugu titles for discuss.
Supplementaries, please.
Sir, I am very thankful to Minister for including Telugu titles for digitizing. It is already 3 years over, 2012 to 2015. My first supplementary is whether the Minister will be pleased to apprise us the digitization status for Telugu publications.
Sir, in the 12th five-year plan, the mandate of digitizing the books was given to the Directorate of Publications Division. Our budget of 3 crores was allotted over a period of time, so 60 lakhs in each year. In the year 2012, there was no expenditure on it. In the year 2013, there was a mere expenditure of 3 lakhs. It is only now, sir, that we have expedited the whole process. And to keep this entirely transparent, we have constituted an advisory body, sir, which is led by the Joint Secretary of Personnel and Administration of the Ministry of Information Broadcasting, and we have members from Sahitya Academy, from National Book Trust, We have experts in women, experts for children, and experts for language as well, as and when needed. I can assure the honorary member that we are looking at digitizing all books of national importance, and that includes all languages as well.
Thank you. Second question.
Sir, Telugu is the third most spoken language in India after Hindi and Bengal. Is there any provision under sub-scheme to provide financial support to the states who wish to initiate digitization?
So the mandate to Directorate of Publication Division is to on its own digitize the books. There are various publication houses within the government with various departments. As of now, we have no mandate and we have no proposal to extend financial help to states to digitize books. But if any of the member, and the Publication Division is very open on this, we accept advices, letters directly from authors as well as from any citizen of the country to suggest to us that which books could be taken up which are of national importance.
Thank you, Shri Pawan Varma.
I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister whether the Publications Division has a time schedule for the publication and digitization of books, and is it keeping in conformity with that time schedule? Because the general impression, sir, is that the Publications Division is running far behind its schedule for digitization and publication of books, and is even worse in the question of the sale and dissemination of books. Can we have an honest answer from the Minister?
Thank you.
So I'll give you an honest answer, sir.
That is what is expected.
The 2012, in 2012, when the scheme was launched, unfortunately no work was done on it. In 2013, hardly any work was done on it because 60 lakhs was the expenditure given, only 3 lakhs was spent. It is only now that we expedited the whole process, sir. We have on an average of about 300 books to digitize in a year, sir. We hope that now when we pursue this target, we will be able to achieve it. Also, sir, there was a reference to the sale and distribution. I'd like to bring to the notice of the House and to the wider audience that this is one publication division which actually earns a revenue for the government. It has a budget, estimated budget of about 24 to 25 crores for books, and it makes a profit of about 7 crores on that. It has an estimated budget of about 26 crores for employment news, sir, and it makes a profit of 47 crores in the previous year, and we can assure the House that it will make a further it is not misleading, absolutely, it's the fact.
Thank you. Yes, the Honourable Leader of the House.
Just like to add to what the Honourable Minister of State has said, that I've just received a few days ago the digitized version of the complete works of Gandhiji, which the Publication Division has brought out, and I'd request all members of this House to make use of it.
Thank you, Shri Rapolo.
With gratitude towards Union Government for initiating the regional languages, including Telugu, to be on a digital platform, I would like to raise a pertinent point regarding the fast-track digitalization of information and the availability of the search engines like Google and all other platforms, and the scope of Scribd and other platforms to digitize as well as to store the books, and even the expansion of the digital aspect of the governance with the support of the latest portal. The Aadhaar-enabled citizen is in a position to save their records and certificates, but keeping these facts in view and with the point mentioned by the Honorable Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting into consideration, the Publications Division and its publications are still in snail's pace, and for the vastness of our country.
Question?
Yes, sir. For the vastness of our country and the diversity of the languages and the information that flow through, there is every necessity to have a full-fledged search engine within India with the convertibility of all the languages, which could be considered by the Publications Division. is the union government is considering to have that larger platform, including a search engine.
Thank you.
So as to read the several translations of several vernacular languages on the digital platform. Thank you, sir.
I am grateful for the question to the honorary member, sir. As of now, we are revamping our websites. And I'd like to bring to the attention of the whole House that Bharat 2015, which is an authoritative book, is now going to be available on an e-version. And not just that, it will be a searchable document. And not just that, I go further, that you can search it online. And this would be launched in perhaps in about 2 months' time from now. We are also digitizing the other books, and they all would be available in the manner of search that he is talking of.
Thank you,
sir.
Shrimati Gundu Sudharani.
I would like to know the government of India is taking any innovative measures to improve Telugu books and periodicals in large inclusion of its cultural heritage and rich resources, and also taking any efforts to digitalize ancient literature in Telugu. Thank you, sir.
Sir, more or less it's a similar question which was asked earlier. The members and anyone who would like to suggest to the Directorate of Publication Division any book that you feel should be considered for digitization, we'd be most happy to consider it. Thank you, sir.
Question 126.
Yes. Is laid on the table.
Just 1 minute. All right.
Statement is laid on the table.
Thank you. Supplementaries, please.
See, in the question what I have tried to ask was, see, under the new dispensation of Niti Aayog, what are the new rules and regulations that are controlling the formulation of annual plan? In what way at the central level and the state level these rules and regulations will be functioning? It is not very clear from the government statements and the news.
Mr. Chairman, sir, honorable members asked a very good question, because we are in fact transitioning from a situation where we had a planning commission for many, many years, which is obviously constituted in the early 1950s, and thereafter the planning commission played a very vital role in the development of the country, and they continue to do that for several decades. We are now transitioning from that era to a different era, the era of the Niti Aayog, which is set up quite differently, as the Honorable Prime Minister said on the ramparts of the Red Fort in his Independence Day speech. It has 4 important purposes. One of the important purposes is to develop a shared set of national priorities which will be built bottoms up as opposed to top down. That's one very important aspect of what the Niti Aayog is going to do. It's going to foster cooperative federalism, recognizing that strong states make a strong nation. It will also monitor and evaluate the implementation of programs and be a platform for resolution, which is the 4th part, a platform for resolution of interdepartmental and interstate issues. So it's a very different paradigm from the paradigm that existed in the past, and I can understand the honorable member if he has been used to top-down planning coming from the Planning Commission. Now the Niti Aayog is working in a much more federal and bottoms-up approach, where the plans will evolve from the various different local bodies in the states themselves.
Thank you. Second question.
Second question is, see, regarding the LIs, the local self-governments, also there is a question. The intention of my question was, see, LSGS, you transfer funds, but actually what they want is the permission and the power and the funds to formulate their own plans and implement it. Is under the new dispensation, will the LSGS will be getting power and funds to do that?
As you know, that with the 14th Finance Commission, we've moved to a situation where the untied money that is going to the states is very different from what it was in the past. The centrally sponsored schemes are still there, but they are not there to the extent that they were earlier. So what has actually happened in terms of the devolution of the funds is that compared to the past, if you look at the next fiscal year, the states are going to get 1.8 lakh crores about of untied grants, which is very different from what existed in the past. Instead, what we will do now for the central schemes is that we are going to have 31 schemes which are either there because of cess that is being generated for them, or because they are legislated like Narega, and therefore they will continue on exactly as they have. The center will be making the allocations as it has in the past. So 31 schemes are going to operate that way. 24 schemes which will operate differently because the sharing pattern between the states and the center will change. Instead of the center paying 75% of those sharing patterns will change, for instance. And then there are 8 schemes that have been de-linked. So as you go through each of the schemes which the Planning Commission in the past was responsible for, each...
No.
Yes, because they have flexibility to redesign the schemes and reallocate them to other priorities.
Shri Manishakar,
Reference to part D of the answer, does the Honorable Finance Minister recognize that the 14th Finance Commission grant to panchayats and municipalities averages a mere 20 lakh rupees a year when it costs 15 lakh rupees to just build a community hall? And in view of this, that this necessitates substantial additional financing to the panchayats and municipalities under centrally sponsored schemes. So will the Minister assure the House that funding of local self-governing units under parts 9 and 9A of the Constitution will not decrease but only steadily increase?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, sir, obviously we would like to ensure that we devolve down to local bodies as much as we can, both in terms of responsibility as well as in terms of funding. We are naturally constrained in terms of the fiscal space and the fiscal resources that the government has. Taking all of this into account, the 14th Finance Commission decided to allocate 2 lakh crores to panchayats over the next 5 years and 87,000 crores for municipalities again over the next 5 years. These are the funds that are going directly to these local bodies. In addition to that, the local bodies will also be given many other funding sources, such as those coming from the state government for various development projects and those coming also from the central government for various other schemes and projects as well. So there are in fact sufficient funds for many of the projects that have been going on, and hopefully as the state gets more fiscal resources and more fiscal space, we will continue to devolve as much as we can do to these local bodies and provide them all the resources they need to be responsive to the citizens of this country.
Thank you. Shri Jairam Ramesh.
Although this is a transition year, my question is very specific. Will the distinction between special category and non-special category states continue? The 14th Finance Commission has recommended the abolition of this distinction. What I want to know from the Honorable Finance Minister, whether this recommendation has been accepted and whether in future the special category, non-special category distinction will be done away with completely.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was, Mr. Chairman, sir, this was a matter that was taken up with utmost seriousness by the 14th Finance Commission, because we've had a long history of awarding special status to various states. And as the thinking this time was that we should not necessarily have the special category of states. Instead, we should look at the financial position of each individual state, do the allocation, the devolution as was set up by the Finance Commission, and if indeed the fiscal position of certain states was such that they were running at a revenue deficit, that there would be a special allocation for the revenue deficit states, which is what has been done. Those numbers have been published and those are there on in the public domain for everybody to understand what the revenue deficit states are at and what the quantum of funding going to them is.
Thank you.
Now, in addition to that, there are certain other assurances that were given by laws, for example, during the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act. Obviously, those are a matter of both law as well as parliamentary assurance, and they will be fully honored and committed.
Shri Bhupendra Singh.
Sir, I would like to know from the government, through you, sir, Chairman, sir, that there are some area after 68 years of independence that Odisha having 117 tribal scheduled blocks, more than 50% of tribal populations. For that, what the Niti Aayog will look into those areas which has not been taken care of still now, a special focus on that to those states where such areas are there, including Odisha.
Thank you.
So I also come from a tribal state, and the needs and requirements of people in these backward regions is obviously very much on the minds of the government and on my mind as well. There are a number of programs both at the local level as well, at the state level as well as at the central level. There are the Niti Aayog is looking in, will as I said earlier, the whole thrust of planning now, rather than being top down, is bottoms up. So my request to honorable member would be that he work with local bodies, with the state government, to develop good and high quality plans for these regions, as we are doing, for example, in Jharkhand. And certainly I'm sure the Niti Aayog and the government, to the extent possible, will support these plans for the development of these regions. Thank you.
No, please. Question 127. Question hour over. Statement by Minister correcting answer to question. Shri Arun Jaitley.
Correcting the answer to star question number 296 given in the Rajya Sabha on 16 December 2014 regarding cheating of State Bank customers by unscrupulous elements.
The House is adjourned till 2 p.m.